The prison break. Commander Jiwan felt his heart stop beating as his blue skin turned deathly pale. The most dangerous creature in the galaxy was walking slowly out of its prison cell, and every instinct screamed at him to run. The shadow beast was massive, black as the void of space itself, with teeth longer than Jiwan's arm. Its red eyes burned like dying stars in the dim hallway, casting an eerie glow on the metal walls. Every alien on the ship took an involuntary step backward. Some reached for their weapons with trembling appendages, others began whispering prayers to whatever gods they worshipped. This creature had single-handedly slaughtered hundreds of soldiers from dozens of different worlds. That's why they kept it locked in the deepest, most secure section of their ship, behind walls forged from the strongest alloys in the galaxy. Multiple force fields, sedative gases, neural dampeners, every precaution known to galactic science protected them from this living nightmare. But somehow, it was free. Emergency protocols. Jiwan barked into his communicator, his voice cracking. All personnel to battle stations. Seal off sections 7 through 12. The shadow beast stood motionless in the corridor, its massive head scanning the terrified crew. Its breathing created small clouds of condensation in the recycled air, and the soft scrape of its claws against the metal floor sent shivers through everyone present. Then, impossibly, a cheerful human voice cut through the tension. "Hey there, big guy." Human Dorian stepped forward with a genuine smile, completely ignoring the weapons being drawn around him. He walked toward the monster like he was greeting an old friend at a neighborhood barbecue. "Dorian, get back." Jiwan shouted, his translator device crackling with urgency. "That thing will tear you apart." But the human just waved dismissively and kept walking. The shadow beast stopped moving, its enormous head turning toward this small, seemingly suicidal creature approaching without fear. For a moment that felt like an eternity, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The only sound was the gentle hum of the ship's life support systems and the distant thrum of the engines. Then something extraordinary happened. The deadly creature made a soft, rumbling sound deep in its throat. It was almost like a cat's purr, but much deeper and more resonant. The sound seemed to vibrate through the ship's hull itself. The shadow beast slowly lowered its massive head until it was level with Dorian's face. "There's my big guy," Dorian said softly, reaching out without hesitation. He scratched behind one of the creature's ears, an ear the size of a dinner plate, covered in thick, dark fur that seemed to absorb light. "Did you miss me, Boom?" The shadow beast closed its glowing red eyes and leaned into the human's touch. Its tail, longer than a school transport, began to wag slowly back and forth, creating a gentle breeze in the corridor. Commander Jiwan's mouth fell open so wide his jaw nearly hit the floor. His universal translator must be malfunctioning, this couldn't be real. What is happening?" Captain Hyojin whispered from the control room above. Her green tentacles shook uncontrollably as she watched through the reinforced viewing window. Communications Officer Hannah dropped her data tablet. It hit the metal floor with a resounding crash that echoed through the suddenly quiet corridor. "The human," she said in a voice filled with complete shock, "the human is petting the Reaper." That's what they called it, the Reaper. Death incarnate. It had earned that terrifying name by ending so many lives that some entire planets refused to speak its true name aloud, believing it would summon the creature to their worlds. But here was a human, calmly scratching behind its ears like it was some kind of oversized pet. The impossible bond. Engineer Minsu clicked his mandibles together nervously, his compound eyes wide with terror and confusion. "This is not possible," he buzzed in his native language. "My research indicated that humans flee from dangerous threats. They should be running, not, whatever this is." "Your research was wrong," Security Chief Sung Ho squawked from his perch near the ceiling. His feathers were puffed up in complete alarm. "Very, very wrong." Down in the hallway, Dorian continued talking to the creature as if nothing unusual was happening. "I brought you something," he said cheerfully, reaching into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a piece of dried meat from his personal food rations, the kind of spicy jerky that humans seem to enjoy. I know you like the hot stuff. The shadow beast's eyes opened and focused intently on the small piece of food. Its massive head moved closer to Dorian's outstretched hand. Instead of simply biting off the human's entire arm, the creature very carefully took the jerky with just the tip of its tongue. The tongue was black and rough-looking, but incredibly gentle when it touched Dorian's palm. "Good boy," Dorian said, patting the side of the creature's neck. "You're always so careful not to hurt me, aren't you, Boom?" Science Officer Yang-Su was frantically recording everything with his scanner, his amphibian skin rapidly changing colors, a sign that he was simultaneously excited and terrified. "The stress readings are dropping dramatically," he reported to Captain Hyojin. "The creature's heart rate is slowing down, and its body temperature is returning to normal levels." "What does that mean?" the captain asked, her tentacles still trembling. "It means," Yang-Su said, staring at his data in complete amazement, "the Reaper is relaxing. It's becoming calm and peaceful." Medical Officer Yunji's crystalline body flashed different colors as she processed this impossible information. "But that cannot be right," she said. "Shadow beast species do not have peaceful states. They are always aggressive, always hunting, always killing. It's their nature." "Maybe," Captain Hyojin said quietly, "we were wrong about their nature." Down in the corridor, Dorian had sat down on the floor next to the enormous creature. The shadow beast had curled up beside him like a giant dog, its head resting comfortably on Dorian's lap while the human gently stroked its fur. "I had a really long day today," Dorian was saying conversationally to the creature. "The food processors in Section 7 broke down again. Took me 4 hours to fix them, and my back is killing me." The shadow beast made that deep purring sound again, seeming to listen intently to every word. "And then Minsu asked me to help move some heavy equipment. You know how those insectoid guys are, they think because humans are strong, we should do all the heavy lifting." Commander Jiwan finally found his voice, though it shook terribly. "Human Dorian," he called out, "please step away from the creature." Very, very slowly. Dorian looked up at him with genuine confusion. "Why? Boom is fine. He's not going to hurt anyone." "Boom?" Hannah repeated in disbelief. "You gave it a name?" Jivan asked. "Of course I gave him a name," Dorian said, as if this was the most natural thing in the universe. "You can't just call someone the creature all the time. That's rude. Boom means spring in my language. He reminds me of new life, new beginnings." "New life?" Sung-ho squawked in absolute disbelief. "That thing is death incarnate. It has killed thousands of our people." Dorian's expression became serious for the first time. "Maybe," he said slowly, "those people never tried to be nice to him. Maybe they just shot first and asked questions later." He looked down at the shadow beast. Boom was gazing up at him with those glowing red eyes, but now they seemed less like raging fire and more like warm coals in a peaceful fireplace. "Everyone deserves a friend," Dorian said simply. "Even scary-looking guys like Boom here." The creature made a soft huffing sound, almost like it was agreeing. Captain Hyojin stared at the scene below her observation deck. In all her years commanding vessels across the galaxy, she had never witnessed anything like this. A human and a shadow beast, sitting together like old companions who had known each other for years. "Get me a full report on how this happened," she ordered her crew. "I want to know everything. Because if a human can make friends with the most dangerous creature in the galaxy, it might change everything we thought we knew about both species." The story unfolds. 3 hours later, the entire crew sat in the main conference room, still processing what they had witnessed. Captain Hyojin had ordered the shadow beast back to its containment area, but the door was now left open. Remarkably, the creature had returned willingly when Dorian simply asked it to. "Start from the beginning," Captain Hyojin said to Dorian. "Tell us everything." Dorian looked around the room at all the different alien faces staring at him with mixtures of curiosity, fear, and disbelief. He scratched his head and smiled in that easy way humans had. Well, it started about 6 months ago, he began. I was working the night shift, fixing coolant pipes in the lower levels. That's when I first heard him crying. Crying. Science Officer Yang-Su leaned forward, his skin still shifting colors with excitement. Shadow beasts do not cry. They lack the necessary tear ducts. Not crying with tears, Dorian explained patiently. Crying with sound. Like whale song, but sadder. Much, much sadder. He paused, his expression growing distant. I know that sound. I made the same sound when I first left Earth, when I missed my family so much it felt like my chest was being crushed from the inside. Medical Officer Yunji flashed a curious blue color. You recognized emotional distress in an alien species? Pain sounds the same everywhere, Dorian said simply. Doesn't matter if you're human or whatever Boom is. Loneliness hurts the same way. Commander Jiwan still couldn't believe what he was hearing. So what did you do? I sat down outside his cell and listened. Every night for 2 weeks, I just sat there during my dinner break. He would make those heartbreaking sounds, and I would eat my food and listen. Dorian smiled at the memory. Then one night, I started talking to him. Just normal stuff, you know. About my day, about the broken pipes, about how the food synthesizer in Section 3 makes terrible coffee. And the creature responded? Captain Hyojin asked. Not at first. But he stopped making those sad sounds when I talked, so I kept talking. Every night, same time, same spot on the floor outside his cell. Communications Officer Hannah shook her reptilian head. This is impossible. The Reaper killed 3 of my people when we first captured it. It broke Security Chief Maldo's arm in 4 places. Because you were hurting him, Dorian said, his voice rising with emotion. Think about it, you ripped him away from his home planet, stuck him in a tiny metal box, poked him with needles, and shocked him with electricity. Of course he fought back. The room fell silent. Everyone remembered the capture mission. It had been brutal and violent, requiring heavy weapons and knockout gas. The Shadow Beast had injured dozens of soldiers before they finally subdued it. You're saying it was defending itself? Security Chief Sung Ho asked from his perch. Wouldn't you fight if someone kidnapped you and locked you in a cage? Dorian asked in return. Engineer Minsu clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The human has a point. We never attempted peaceful contact. Because they're monsters. Hannah hissed. They attack ships. They eat people. Do they? Dorian asked quietly. Or do they attack ships that enter their territory without permission? Have any of you ever tried just asking them nicely to leave you alone? The aliens looked at each other uncomfortably. None of them had an answer to that. Tell us more about your interactions, Captain Hyojin said. Dorian leaned back in his chair. After a few weeks of talking, I started sharing my food with him. Just small pieces at first, I would slide them through the food slot. That was against regulations, Commander Jiwan pointed out. So sue me, Dorian shrugged. The guy was hungry. The rations you were giving him were barely enough to keep him alive. We were following standard containment procedures, Yunji said defensively. Your standard procedures were slowly starving him to death, Dorian replied. No wonder he was angry all the time. Science Officer Yang-Su was taking detailed notes on his tablet. What happened when you started feeding it? He started trusting me. Little by little. First, he would take the food only when I wasn't looking. Then he started taking it while I was there. Then one day, he let me touch his nose through the bars. Dorian's eyes grew soft, remembering. That was a big moment. His nose is really soft, by the way. Like velvet. You touched the Reaper, Sung Ho said in amazement, and lived. His name is Boom, Dorian corrected firmly. And yes, I lived because he's not a mindless killer. He's smart, really smart. Smarter than most people I've met. What makes you say that? Captain Hyojin asked. He learned my schedule. He would start making happy sounds when he heard my footsteps coming down the corridor. He learned my name, well, his version of it. He can't make human sounds, but he tries. Dorian demonstrated by making a low rumbling noise that sounded vaguely like Dorian. He taught himself to say your name. Yang-su asked excitedly. Not just my name. He learned other words too. Food sounds like a growl. Friend sounds like purring. Good is a soft huff through his nose. The room was completely silent as everyone processed this information. There's more, Dorian continued. About 3 months ago, I got really sick, food poisoning from something in the cafeteria. I could barely walk to work, but I didn't want to leave Boom alone. He paused, looking around the room. He knew something was wrong the moment he saw me. He started making worried sounds, and when I collapsed outside his cell, he broke the food slot trying to reach me. Broke the food slot? Commander Jiwan repeated. Bent the metal with his claws. He was trying to get to me, to help me. If the emergency medical team hadn't found me when they did. Dorian trailed off. Medical Officer Yunji flashed a bright yellow color. The creature showed concern for your welfare. More than concern. He was frantic. When the medical team came to get me, he tried to attack them, not to hurt them, but to protect me. He thought they were going to harm me. Captain Hyojin felt like her understanding of the universe was being turned upside down. Everything they thought they knew about shadow beasts was wrong. Understanding and discovery. After I recovered, our friendship really grew, Dorian continued. I started spending more time with him. I brought him books to look at. Books? Hannah asked incredulously. Picture books at first. He loves looking at images of Earth, especially animals. He gets really excited when he sees pictures of whales and elephants. I think they remind him of his own kind. Dorian smiled warmly. He's got favorites now. There's this one book about dolphins that he asks for all the time. How does he ask? Yang-su wanted to know. He points with his claw and makes dolphin sounds. It's actually pretty adorable. The word adorable, describing the galaxy's most feared predator, sent a ripple of disbelief through the room. Captain Hyojin stood up and began pacing. This changes everything. If shadow beasts are intelligent, if they're capable of friendship and learning. She turned to face her crew. We need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. Every military engagement with shadow beast territory needs to be reconsidered. With respect, Captain, Commander Jiwan said, we only have one example. This could be an anomaly. Could be, Dorian interrupted, but what if it's not? What if every shadow beast we've killed was someone's friend, someone's family? What if they've been trying to communicate this whole time, and we just kept shooting first? The weight of that possibility settled over the room like a heavy blanket. There's something else, Dorian said quietly. About 2 weeks ago, Boom started doing something new. He started teaching me. Teaching you what? Yang-su asked eagerly. His language. He would make a sound, then point to an object, then repeat the sound until I tried to copy it. He's been incredibly patient with me. I'm terrible at getting the tones right. Dorian demonstrated a few guttural sounds. That means, thank you. This one means, happy. And this. He made a complex series of sounds, means, friend who brings food and kindness. You can communicate with him? Captain Hyojin asked in amazement. Basic stuff, yeah. And he understands a lot more than he can say. Yesterday, I told him about Earth weather, and he got so excited. He kept making sounds and showing me pictures from the books, storms, rain, snow. I think his homeworld might have similar weather patterns. Medical Officer Yunji's crystalline form flashed rapidly. Captain, we need to run comprehensive scans. If this creature, if Boom, is truly intelligent, we may have been committing crimes against sentience. Already on it, Captain Hyojin said grimly. Yang-Su, I want full cognitive assessments. Yunji, check his physical condition, make sure our containment hasn't caused lasting harm. Jiwan, contact xenobiology departments at the major universities. We need experts. What about the Galactic Council? Jiwan asked. Not yet. Not until we understand the full implications. If we're wrong about shadow beasts, if they're not monsters but misunderstood people. She paused, the weight of potential galactic war crimes heavy on her conscience. We need to be very careful how we present this information. Dorian raised his hand. Excuse me. Shouldn't we ask Boom what he wants? I mean, if he's as smart as I think he is, doesn't he get a say in all this? The alien stared at him. The concept of asking their prisoner, their intelligent prisoner, for his opinion had never occurred to them. You're right, Captain Hyojin said slowly. Yang-Su, can you set up a proper communication interface? Something better than hand gestures and picture books. Already working on it, Captain. If Dorian can provide examples of the sounds and their meanings, I can create a basic translator program. Over the next few days, the ship transformed. What had been a prison transport became something closer to a first contact mission. Boom's cell was expanded and furnished with more comfortable bedding, better food, and entertainment materials. The heavy security presence was reduced to a minimum. Most remarkably, Boom seemed to understand that things had changed. When Yang-Su brought the new translation device, Boom examined it carefully, then looked at Dorian and made what could only be described as an amused sound. He thinks it's funny that you need a machine to talk to him, Dorian translated. He says humans are small brain big heart people. That's actually quite accurate, Captain Hyojin admitted. The breakthrough came on the 5th day. Using the improved translator, Boom was able to communicate more complex ideas. What they learned changed everything. Shadow beasts, it turned out, were not predators at all. They were guardians, ancient protectors of sacred spaces throughout the galaxy. The attacks on ships were attempts to warn vessels away from dangerous areas, unstable wormholes, radiation fields, areas where spacetime itself was fragile. We sing the danger songs, Boom explained through the translator, his voice deep and melodious even through the electronic interpretation. But small sky swimmers do not listen. They bring fire spitters and painmakers. We must defend the sacred places. The galaxy had been at war with its own guardians. The new beginning. Sacred places? Captain Hyojin asked through the translator. What kind of sacred places? Boom's massive form shifted as he considered how to explain. Places where star songs are born. Where new life sparks begin their dance. Where old ones go to become one with the great dark. The translation device struggled with concepts that had no direct equivalent in galactic common language. Yang-Su was frantically taking notes. I think he's referring to stellar nurseries, planetary formation zones, and, possibly black holes or neutron stars. Areas of extreme gravitational or electromagnetic activity. You protect these places? Jiwan asked. We sing warnings. We guide small sky swimmers to safe paths. But they bring fire spitters and try to take from sacred places. We cannot allow taking from sacred places. Dorian looked up from where he was sitting beside Boom, gently stroking the creature's fur. You were trying to help, and we thought you were attacking us. Boom made a sound that the translator interpreted as deep sadness. Many friend singers lost. Many small sky swimmers lost. Much sorrow for misunderstanding. The implications hit everyone at once. Centuries of conflict, thousands of deaths on both sides, entire military campaigns, all based on a fundamental misunderstanding. Boom, Captain Hyojin said carefully, would your people be willing to talk? To explain the sacred places to us so we can avoid them? If small sky swimmers promise no fire spitters, no painmakers, no taking from sacred places, yes. Friend singers would share knowledge songs. Captain Hyojin turned to her crew. We need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. This could end the Shadow Beast conflicts entirely. Captain, Dorian said quietly, there's something else. Boom, tell them about your family. Boom's eyes dimmed with sorrow. Life giver, small ones, nest sharers, all gone. Fire spitters came to homeworld when Boom was away singing warnings. When Boom returned, the translator conveyed deep grief. Only silence. Only ash. The room fell completely silent. Everyone understood now why Boom had been alone, why he had made those heartbroken sounds that first drew Dorian's attention. I'm sorry, Captain Hyojin said simply. We didn't know. Not Captain's fault, Boom replied. Misunderstanding pain touches all. But small brain big heart human showed different way. Showed kindness path. Over the following weeks, Captain Hyojin's ship became the center of the most important diplomatic mission in galactic history. Representatives from the Galactic Council, xenobiologists, linguists, and military officials all came to meet Boom and learn about Shadow Beast culture. Boom was patient with all of them, though he clearly preferred Dorian's company. The human had become his anchor, his first friend in a galaxy that had shown him nothing but violence until that moment. The negotiations were complex. Shadow Beast territory needed to be properly mapped and marked as protected space. Trade routes had to be rerouted. Military doctrines required complete overhaul. But slowly, carefully, a new understanding began to emerge. The first formal peace treaty between the Galactic Federation and the Shadow Beast Collective was signed 3 months later. Boom himself served as the primary translator and cultural ambassador for his people. But perhaps the most important moment came near the end of the process, when Boom made an unusual request. Small brain big heart human, he said to Dorian, you saved not just Boom. You saved all friend singers. You showed kindness path when all others showed fire spitter path. I just listened, Dorian said modestly. Listening is greatest gift. Boom asks, would small brain big heart human like to learn star song? Become honorary friend singer? Dorian's eyes widened. You mean, become one of you? Not become. Always human. But learn to sing warning songs, learn to protect sacred places. Work together, human heart with friend singer strength. Captain Hyojin watched as Dorian considered the offer. It would mean leaving the ship, leaving human space, joining an alien species in their sacred duty. It was unprecedented. Will I still be able to visit? To see my human friends? Always welcome. Friend singers travel all star paths. Human would help other small sky swimmers understand sacred places, prevent new misunderstanding pain. Dorian looked around at his crewmates, then back at Boom. I'd be honored to learn your songs. The ceremony took place in the ship's main cargo bay, converted for the occasion into something resembling a Shadow Beast sacred space. Representatives from dozens of worlds watched as Boom, joined by 3 other Shadow Beasts who had come to witness the historic moment, performed the ritual that would make Dorian the first human friend singer. The songs were beautiful, deep, resonant harmonies that seemed to vibrate through space itself. As Dorian learned to add his own voice to the chorus, everyone present understood they were witnessing the birth of a new era. 6 months later, reports began filtering back to human space about a remarkable phenomenon. Ships traveling through previously dangerous areas of space were being guided by an unusual sight, a shadow beast and a human, singing in harmony, their voices carrying across the void to warn of dangers and guide travelers to safety. The galaxy had learned something invaluable. Sometimes the most frightening things just need someone willing to listen, to understand, to show kindness instead of fear. Commander Jiwan, now captain of his own vessel, often told the story to new crew members. He would end it the same way every time. Remember this, in a galaxy full of weapons and warriors, it was one human's compassion that ended a war. Never underestimate the power of simply being kind. And in the deep spaces between stars, the songs continued, human voice and shadow beast harmonizing together, protecting the sacred places and guiding lost souls home. The end.